A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News with me, Sam Kalisa. On Monday evening, President Paul Kagame chaired a cabinet meeting to review the measures to continue tackling the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting comes as the death toll from the pandemic as well as the new cases continue to rise. It is expected that new measures may be taken in just 13 days. More than 6,000 people have been infected in the country, while 6 others have died. Since the outbreak of the pandemic in Rwanda in March this year, the total number of infected to this day is 6,659, but of them 5,955 have recovered, while 56 others have died. The last cabinet meeting was held on the 27th of the last month of November. At the time, it was decided that travel would still be banned from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Residents were reminded that it is important to abide by the COVID-19 preventive guidelines, including keeping a distance from one another, wearing face masks, washing hands regularly, and those who do not comply with the measures should be punished. Moving on, in Nyarugenge district, 60 shops were closed and some traders fined. This is after an unexpected inspection that caught them violating COVID-19 preventive guidelines. The city of Kigali is embarking on a campaign to punish traders and others who do not comply with the COVID-19 prevention guidelines. All detainees were caught from markets, taxi parks and different streets in Kigali where they were found violating COVID-19 prevention guidelines, some badly wearing their face masks, others not washing their hands, while some shops were found not having hand-washing facilities. In other parts except Kigali city, where many people meet, people seem to no longer implement the COVID-19 preventive measures. Only those we've been able to talk to have their own views. We normally wear face masks, only that this time I had removed it as I talked to my friend. My fellow youth have become arrogant on the preventive guidelines. They say that COVID-19 does not exist, that it's just a joke. They just wear masks to dodge punishments. Local authorities do not put much effort in this. If a person can come from home and go to the market, or a student go to school without wearing a mask, they meet with some leaders who can't even send them back home or fine them. Just like these residents, 60 other traders in the downtown shopping mall were caught red-handed over violation of COVID-19 prevention measures. Some of the traders were caught not wearing face masks, others wearing them in a wrong way, others were caught without hand-washing facilities, while others exceeded the maximum number of people who are supposed to enter their shops, and others misbehaved when authorities questioned them. Nyarugenge District Executive Director Ngabonziza Amy says there is even more concern. The sad thing is that those who violate the rules are mostly those who are informed, who should highly abide by the guidelines, including these traders. They disrespect authorities, the police and the youth volunteers. Whenever they violate the rules, their shops are closed for at least a month and they're given other punishments. So, some were caught not wearing masks, others did not have hand sanitizers, and some even disrespected authorities. In addition to this, bars are one of unauthorized services due to the COVID-19 prevention guidelines. However, some bars are closed and fined due to unauthorized work, and the next day they reopen their bars. Those who act inappropriately explain why. I just had my boss speaking to someone, then the next day he told me to come to work. Rwanda National Police spokesperson CP John Bosco Kabera says the Rwanda National Police will not tolerate anyone who violates the COVID-19 prevention guidelines by opening bars and those who reopen them. He stressed that further action might be taken. If your primary need was eating, make sure you finish it with your drinks and go. There is a place where we found people drinking. They had started at 10 a.m. and it was approaching midday. When we asked them, They say they had just finished their food past 30 minutes. That's not right. People should restrain from this and know that this pandemic is not worth joking with. And respecting the guidelines is not just about finding defending reasons. The Minister of Local Government, Professor Shaka Anastase, says the fact that the bars have not yet been opened, but there is still a large number of people who opened them in violation of the rules means that there is still a gap in penalties. From July up to yesterday, we closed 9,600 bars, which were found working illegally. People seem to have a lot of crave for alcohol, forgetting the problem of this pandemic. Local authorities and the police follow up, finds people, but they continue. We need collaboration of different agencies to stop these bars that were the face of restaurants, because if it continues, you can't stop a person who is drunk from shaking hands or holding each other's shoulder. Today, Monday 14th, 9 months, elapsed when various preventive guidelines were put in place, but there is still a large number of people who violate them, and the number of COVID-19 new cases plus death continue to rise. This Monday marks exactly 9 months since Rwanda registered the first coronavirus case in the country. This pandemic has affected a cross-section of the population, including medical staff. People that seek medical attention say that prevention of this pandemic should be a collective effort. Gloria Mutesi has more on this.
At the Rwanda Health Center in Shyorongi sector of Rulindo district, 168 people had already been received by midday for various ailments. Admission to the center must comply with the COVID-19 prevention guidelines, including hand washing, wearing face masks appropriately, and social distancing. At the Kibagabaga hospital located in Gasabo district, they say they've continued efforts to prevent the spread of the pandemic. However, at the triage center, you will find many people seated in line without social distancing. Ever since Rwanda registered its first COVID-19 case, 4 medical personnel have been infected in the Kibagabaga hospital. The Director General of this hospital, Superintendent Dr. Nkundibiza Samuel, says they've taken steps to protect healthcare providers and workers from contracting the disease. We urge our customers to step up their efforts to prevent the COVID-19 spread as the pandemic keeps escalating. Even the doctors can get infected too, and they are at a high risk of getting infected because they are the ones that receive patients. The patient is treated as a suspect when they come in, and the patients are taken care of with the doctors being vigilant too. 14th December marks 9 months since Rwanda registered the first person who tested positive for COVID-19. Residents that visit various hospitals say that the virus continues to spread and intensifying. Prevention requires collective effort. We are to put in a lot of effort because this is escalating. We should try and adhere to the guidelines, washing our hands thoroughly, social distancing, and avoiding crowded places when we don't have our masks on. And once we do all this that is required of us, we will overcome the pandemic. The Minister of Health, Dr. Daniel Ngamije, says that COVID-19 infections are becoming more prevalent across, as well as in the medical field. Opening up different services was so that we could coexist with the pandemic without the country coming to a standstill, without fully opening up everything for the pandemic to further spread. So if the virus is spreading in various sectors, including doctors and healthcare workers, who then will treat Rwandans? For instance, if students go to get treatment and get the doctor infected, who will also spread it to other people in the hospital? Dr. Ngamije explains that Rwanda has already applied for the COVID-19 vaccine and that medical professionals are among the beneficiaries of the vaccine. The government of Rwanda is one of the 96 countries that are in the process of getting the vaccine through WHO Africa. We will start with 20% of Rwandans in the first phase. We are training staff, and the medical staff will be vaccinated from their workplaces. We will vaccinate those who have chronic diseases, and we're in the process of locating them and knowing where they stay. Statistics from the World Health Organization show that while medical professionals make up 3% of the world's population, they make up 14% of more than 72 million people that have contracted COVID-19. The World Health Organization also estimates that nearly 2 billion people worldwide are at the risk of contracting COVID-19 from hospitals that lack basic needs to facilitate proper hygiene, such as water. Reporting for RTV, Gloria Mutesi.
Thank you, Gloria Mutesi. Now into trade matters. A group of Rwandan business people say that combining investment in purchasing trucks to transport imported goods will be a game changer, as it will lead to a reduction in prices which had been high due to the transport costs by foreign trucks. Jen Motoni has the story.
For the past 1 year, a group of 25 Rwandan business people have established a joint venture company of trucks that export and import goods through the Dar es Salaam border in Tanzania. Mazimaka Muhammad is among the founders of this joint venture that imports goods from other countries. He says this company was established to solve transportation problems of sometimes not getting trucks for importing goods. We decided to unite and start a transportation company so as to cover a certain percentage of transportation of imported goods and also find ways to work hand in hand with the foreign transportation companies that were transporting goods being imported in Rwanda. Businesswomen and men in Rwanda have been facing a lot of challenges, which include losing their containers and delayed delivery due to drivers getting better deals in other countries. As a landlocked country, depending on other countries for transportation of goods has proven to be a huge risk. Foreign transportation companies are still more capable than us because they have a lot of trucks. For example, 80% of oil imports are transported by foreign trucks, yet we are only still focused in container transportation. We hope we can achieve and exceed their capacity because the major obstacle was the fear among Rwandans to invest in this business due to many that faced losses, hence getting discouraged. Currently, the transportation cost for goods by Rwandan trucks costs $3,000, while with foreign trucks it costs $4,000. On one hand, foreign cargo transporters have been reducing their transportation charges to increase the competition. The Executive Secretary of Rwanda Association of Petroleum Products Importers, Akumono Joseph, says the increased number of importation trucks shall contribute to the decrease in prices of goods. Transportation is among the main determinants when it comes to pricing goods, because as transportation costs increase, prices of goods also increase. Sometimes goods could disappear, and following up on them from another country was a struggle. Purchasing more trucks will also provide employment in the driving department, as it shall also benefit the well-being of the families of drivers. We make 2 to 3 trips in a month. This benefits the well-being of our families due to the monthly salary and some money offered per each trip. From the get-go, 100 trucks were purchased, though it's still a small number compared to the planned percentage of importation of goods to at least 50%. Currently, 70% of Rwanda's imported goods are transported by foreign cargo transporters. Jane Mutoni reporting for RTV.
Thank you very much, Jane Motoni. Now, people that were living in high-risk areas and have now been shifted are happy that they now have durable housing and won't be affected by floods. However, they requested that they be assisted in terms of developing themselves and their future.
Residents that were relocated from high-risk areas say they are now at peace after a long time of panic and worrying that anytime they could be affected. We were living in chaos and it was not a suitable place. But now we are staying in a nice house with good hygiene. I was living in very bad conditions. I thank the President of the Republic for getting us out of there. Even someone who had come to visit you would have trouble living. When it would rain, we wouldn't sleep. The people that were evacuated from these places are now asking authorities to continue supporting them as they look for solutions to improve their livelihoods. Now that we got the land documents, this can help us in the circles so that we can get loans and do businesses to develop ourselves. We ask that those that relocated us here help us set up a market where we can trade from, because where we used to work from is now far. It's a challenge for us to go there. Close observers of the evacuation process from high-risk areas believe that there is need to improve the situation so that they do not continue to be a burden to the state. If a person is going to be relocated from a swamp or any other illegal settlement, he or she needs to be informed and prepared. They need to be given time to know where they're going to move to and see if they will survive there so that they won't be a burden to the government again. The Minister of Local Government, Professor Shaka Anastas, says the process of relocating residents that are in high-risk areas has been intensified and has been productive. There are about 8,000 people in high-risk areas, some in the swamps and some were affected by floods. We work together, but when you look at the effort we put in, it's far beyond than what was normally done. Those that were living in swamps were relocated. The master plans have also been implemented and the lives of Rwandans have been protected. Although not all the houses have been occupied, but the districts have so far accommodated about 500 people. Some of the districts in the provinces and the city of Kigali often showed higher figures of those to be relocated. In the southern province, Nyaruguru district was to relocate 825 families, with 339 families already relocated. In the western province, Ngororero district was to relocate 1,574 families, and now has relocated 1,256. In Rulindo in the north, 16 out of 172 families have been relocated. In the east, in Gatsibo district, 9 out of 179 families have houses built for them. 40 other families have been rented for, while others have been accommodated by their neighbors. The city of Kigali was to relocate 2,856 families living in the swamps, all of whom were relocated, and 86 families are being rented for houses.
The investors that decided to invest in made in Rwanda products in order to increase their value have said that having no made in Rwanda packaging has been an obstacle to them. RBA has visited a wine manufacturing industry in Kayonza district, and Ghislaine Mugwaneza tells us more on this.
Diogene Karajir has been working with Buganza Good Wine Limited for 6 years. Diogene and other Kayonza residents sell banana to this industry. They say that this industry has been so helpful to them. I have a banana plantation of less than 1 hectare where we buy bananas from the residents and bring here to the industry. Before, we used to sell bananas at the Kabare market and even at Rwamagana, but business were not going well as it is today. Before, we were not paid well, but now, with the industry, everything is fine. This industry has really helped us a lot. We only deliver banana here. We used to have no savings before, but now they pay us by using cashless means, and we now save for the future. We had rebuilt our houses, and we pay health insurance on time. Uganza Good Wine Limited buys 5 to 6 tons of bananas from these residents. However, they say that having no packaging is an obstacle that still hinders them. As explained by Faustin Dangamira, the head of Uganza Good Wine Limited. We really have packaging problem. First thing, we pack wines in bottles that can be easily broken, and they are not found here in Rwanda. We lose around 15 to 20 crates of bottles per day. Because of having no packaging industry, we get bottles from Kenya, but it would be much easier if we got a packaging industry in Rwanda, and the price would be low if we had a factory that manufactures all the required materials.
Nibwo twabasha gufunga inzoga zijya mu mahanga kuko ni izajinike.
Solving issues entrepreneurs face, including access to packaging, was one of the resolutions from the 17th edition of National Dialogue Council Umushikirano 2019. Ghislaine Mugwaneza, reporting for RTV.
Thank you very much, Ghislaine, for the story. Simerwa Cement Limited officials have said that their sales revenues increased by 1% compared to the previous year, where it generated 63.1 billion Rwandan francs despite a 40-day shutdown of cement production during the lockdown. However, in July, Simerwa Limited managed to provide and sell 55,000 tons of cement, which is a strong and highest earning in a short period of time, a thing that never happened before. The officials say that this income was generated due to production of cement to the schools' construction activities, and they managed to produce 80,000 tons of cement for schools' construction activities.
During the year, we've witnessed a very steady quarter-by-quarter improvement in performance, with the Q4 performance being our best in history. In fact, the month of July for us witnessed our best production and of cement and the highest dispatch in our history of 55,000 metric tons. And this is, it was quite coming at a time when there was all sorts of challenges, you know, at the borders, supply chain disruptions due to COVID, but the team pulled through with the support of our stakeholders and also the customers, and that was quite pleasing to see that. So it clearly showed what Simerwa is capable of delivering.
The Bank of Kigali, BKPLC and the MasterCard have teamed up to establish a promotional campaign dubbed Mumunyenga na MasterCard. The promotion targets BK clients that mainly those who use BK MasterCards. A BK customer that will use this card to purchase goods worth 25,000 Rwandan francs and above qualifies to win different prizes such as a car, a Mahindra KUV 100 NXT motorcycle, and a television, among other prizes. This is a new service that is aimed at encouraging their customers to go cashless, as explained by the Chief Commercial Officer of the Bank of Kigali, Benjamin Mutimura.
We encourage our customers with BK MasterCard to use them while buying different things. Those that will purchase goods worth 25,000 Rwandan francs and above shall qualify to win different prizes. This is not only for our customers, but also those that would like to start banking with us. For one to stand a chance to win these prizes, it requires only 3 things. First, you must have a bank account in BK. Secondly, you must have a BK MasterCard. And lastly, you must use the MasterCard to purchase goods or even online worth 25,000 Rwandan francs. This promotion is aimed to encourage our customers to use their cards while paying rather than notes.
Twakomereje muri uwo murongo dukangurira abakiriya bacu yuko batakoresha cash bagakoresha carte za MasterCard.
This campaign shall end on the 31st of January 2020. And on behalf of the entire news team that made this happen, we thank you very much for being with us. My name is Sam Kalisa. Please do remember that all the COVID-19 preventive guidelines are still relevant for all of us to stop the spread of COVID-19. And yes, alone together, we can flatten the spread of COVID-19. Until next time, have a good evening and a blessed week ahead.